everyone, thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Ariella and I will be your teacher today. This is a yoga basics video, so we're going to be working on a little bit of everything, but our flow today has a bit of plank. So I'm going to show you how to do it both on your toes and in a supported way, and other ways that can maybe make it more accessible to you with wherever you are at in your practice. Just a couple of reminders. I am not going to play music with this video, so feel free to sync up your favorite playlist. You can use another device. You can listen to whatever music feels right to you for your practice. And the other thing is I will be leading you into Shavasana, but I will not be leading you out of it. So if you choose to take Shavasana, please turn off the autoplay in your YouTube settings. This way it doesn't go right into the next video, and then you can hang out in Shavasana for as long as you like, or you can skip it and do it later in the day. Shavasana is the meditation part of our yoga practice, so I definitely recommend doing it at some point in your day, but if after your asana practice is not the right time, then that's totally okay too. So as with any class, take what you need, leave what you don't. I am just here to be your guide. Your body is your teacher. If there's anything that feels awful and doesn't feel right in your body, please don't do it and stop. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on any number of platforms, either through Facebook, direct message on Instagram, or my email, all stuff that can be found in many, many places. So with that, we are going to get started in an easy seated position today. So I am sitting on a bolster, for a little bit more comfort. You can sit on a bolster, you can sit on a blanket, you can sit on the floor or in a chair. The first part of our warm-up can actually be done sitting in a chair. So if that's more comfortable, you can most definitely do that. But wherever you are, come to a nice, comfortable position. Your spine nice and long, shoulders nice and relaxed, down away from your ears, and just start to mentally arrive on your mat. Start to get your body ready for your practice, your mind ready for your practice. You might find that other things kind of come and go in your head. Just acknowledge them without any sort of judgment. Just observe and then send them away. And come to your breath, taking big inhales through your nose, and then sighing it out your mouth, nice and slow. Start to relax our body, slow our heart rate down. If it's part of your practice to set an intention, it's a thought or an idea to focus on or work towards, I invite you to do so. And any time during these centering practices that we do, if you feel comfortable and safe, you can close your eyes, or you can always just keep your gaze soft, looking at a point on the floor, or maybe at the tip of your nose. When you're ready, if your eyes are closed, you can flutter them open. We're going to start by taking some big deep breaths together with our arms up overhead. So inhale, arms come up nice and tall. And then exhale, send them down. Inhale. Exhale, nice and slow, following your own breath. So you can keep doing these. Maybe you breathe a little bit faster than me. Maybe you breathe a little bit slower. On your next inhale, bring your arms up, preparing for a twist. And on your exhale, cross your left hand across your body to your right knee. Your right hand comes behind you. Maybe it's on the floor. If you're sitting up on a bolster, maybe it's on your bolster. Inhale, lengthening your spine. And on your exhale, twist. release. We'll do the other side. Inhale, reach up nice and tall, and on your exhale, your right arm comes across your body to your left knee, left arm comes behind you. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. And release. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead. And then we're going to do a side bend, bringing our right hand down to the side, down to the mat. Left arm comes up and over. If you're sitting up a little bit higher than me, then maybe you just have your fingers tented, maybe your full palm comes down. If you're not sitting up as high, maybe your forearm comes down to the mat, and maybe it doesn't. The key is to keep both your hip bones, both your sit bones rather, both your sit bones down on the mat, not lifting one up so that you get an increased bend. And release, other side. Inhale, arms come up nice and tall. Exhale, left arm comes down, right arm comes up and over, lifting through the armpit to extend the stretch in the side body. You can look up or down at either one of your hands, whatever is comfortable, most comfortable for your neck. And release. From here, we're going to take a seated cat and cow. So you can come to your comfortable seated position. If you've been sitting cross-legged, try switching out your legs so it's in the uncomfortable way, in the way that we don't normally like to sit with our legs. And then you can bring your hands to your knees, sit up nice and tall. And on our inhales, draw your shoulder back, lift your chest up, head can come back. So you have a nice little back bend. And on your exhale, round your spine, tuck your shoulders in, tuck your chin. Inhale, rise up, open through the chest. Exhale, round. We'll do a few more of these. Slowly come back up to center after your last exhale. You can shake it all out. You can do some shoulder rolls if you'd like. And then from here, we're going to come into tabletop, some more traditional cat and cow. So if you're sitting on a bolster or a couple of pillows, you can move that out of your way. And if you need something for your knees in tabletop, feel free to use something. I use a blanket. And so our hips are over our knees. And our shoulders are about over our wrists. If you find that that is not comfortable for you or you need a little bit more space, you can always open up your hands a little bit so they're coming to the edges of the mat. Or you can bring them in front a little bit of your shoulders. That might be a little bit more comfortable on your wrists. And you can also come up onto your fists. If you have blocks, you can come down to your forearms. So just kind of see where this posture feels comfortable for you. And when you're ready, coming into your tabletop, we'll do a couple of cat and cows here as well. So when you're ready, inhale, lower your belly, tailbone comes up to the sky, chest is lifted like it was when we were seated. Exhale, round your spine, tuck your tailbone, chin to chest. Inhale. Exhale. And then just take a few rounds of this. Maybe you stay in one posture longer than the other. Maybe cat feels good, maybe cow feels good, whichever. back to a neutral tabletop. We're going to come into puppy here. So leaving your hips over your knees, extend your hands out to the top of the mat, and then draw your head down in between your elbows. If you need a little bit more support here, you can bring your forearms down, or if you have a block or a bolster or a pillow, you can always bring your head down to that prop as well. Puppy is a variation of downward dog, so feel free to use this when we come into downward dog later in our class. If this feels better in your body, then that's awesome. You can come here instead of doing downward dog. Hence the name puppy. So to release, bring your head up, leaving your hands where they are, but shift your weight forward. So you might need to adjust a little bit now that you've shifted your weight forward. And now you've come into a supported plank. So you're engaging through your spine, your shoulders are about over your wrists. And when you're ready, you're going to bring your elbows pointed towards your feet and come all the way down to the mat, nice and slow, coming onto your belly. And just a little bit if you need. And keeping your hands underneath your shoulders, we're going to do a little bit of cobra here. So on your inhale, rise up just a little bit for baby cobra. Now your chest is being lifted by your back, not your hands. So you should be able to lift your hands up or put just very little weight in your fingertips. So you're not being pushed up by your hands, you're being pushed up by your back. And release. We'll come up a little bit higher. If you'd like, you can stay in baby cobra. Lift up. And your gaze is just past your fingertips towards the top of your mat. So you're not looking up, but you're looking forward. And release. If you'd like to come up into full cobra. Again, your gaze is looking forward. It's not looking up. And release. So from here, we're going to come into plank. So you can come into your supported plank on your knees, if you'd like. Or you can tuck your toes and come into your full plank. Either or. And from here, we're going to move into side plank. So we're going to start with the left side. So you can shift your feet down, bring the weight into your left hand, right arm comes up. And if that's not happening for you, you can bring that left knee down and come into a supported side plank. So you have plenty of options here. You can also keep this leg down like that. It's hard for me to do while talking. But I would say this one is my favorite variation if you need a little bit of support for side plank. I keep my feet next to each other. I don't keep them stacked. And when you're ready, come on down. Whew. Come back into table. That's hard to do while talking through it. So we're going to come back into our plank. Again, you can come into your supported plank. You can come up into full plank. And again, you can come into full side plank, bringing the weight into your right hand. And you can bring that right leg down if you need a little bit more support. So you can decide where you are today. When you're ready, come back down, back into table. Wiggle around if you need. And then we're going to come into child's pose. So bring your hips down to your heels. Your knees can be wider together. You can reach your hands to the top of the mat, or you can bring them down to your side. You can bring your head to the block, or pillow, or bolster. Just reconnect with your breath. If you find that child's pose is a restorative and restful pose, feel free to come here at any point in your practice. And if you do not find this to be a restful pose, don't. Lift up, come back into table. Bring your hands back underneath your shoulders. We're going to rise up into downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, and then start by lifting your knees just a little bit, and then lifting through the hips. Bring your hips up. You can pedal out your feet here if you need. Bend your knees as much as you need. I'm going to move my blanket out of the way while I'm nearby. You can keep your hands a little bit wider. I find that I like to keep my hands a little bit wider in downward dog. So from your down dog, we're going to come into runner's lunge. So inhale that right foot up. Exhale, step it forward. Many blocks here. I love using blocks for runner's lunge. And I have a whole video on how to make step throughs more accessible that have a little bit more of a deep dive into this, but I like using blocks to come into runner's lunge. And from runner's lunge, we're not going to stay here long. Turn your back heel down. We're going to come up into warrior two. So your back heel is down. Your foot is the side of your foot is parallel to the back of your mat. Rise your body up, watching your balance. So now you're in just a little bit. You're in your warrior two. So your front knee is bent. Front knee is bent, so it's not going well over your ankle. If you find that your front knee is starting to go way over your ankle, open up your feet a little bit more. You have a lot of hand options here. So the traditional expression of the pose, the hands are out, but you can always put your hands to your sides. You can bring your hands to heart center. So whatever, or a combination of the two. Your gaze, though, is towards the front of the mat. Inhale, flip your front palm and send it back, a reverse warrior. Your back hand can be on your thigh, or you can reach around for a half bind. And release back to warrior two. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, cartwheel your hands back down to runner's lunge. And from here, sweep that left foot back, coming back into downward facing dog. We're going to bring our knees down and come back into child's pose. Catch your breath, get a drink, whatever you need. And then rise back up. Coming back into downward facing dog, tuck your toes, hips come back up. And remember, puppy is always an appropriate version of downward facing dog at any point during your practice. Right side, inhale that right foot up. Exhale, send it forward, runner's lunge. I did forget to mention it on the other side, but you can always bring that knee down in runner's lunge as well. If keeping your knee up is just not your jam and it doesn't feel good in your body, bring your knee down. It's totally fine. So coming up into warrior two on the other side. So now the side of your foot is parallel with the back of the mat. Slowly rise up. This is our balance, trying to get up without slipping and sliding. And bring those arms out to the side. Gaze is over your fingertips. Take a look at your feet and your knees, making sure you can still see your big toes. Inhale, flip your front palm and send it back. Reverse warrior. And release back to center. Coming back into warrior two. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, cartwheel down. Runner's lunge with that knee up or down. Use your blocks to sweep your foot back. Coming back into downward facing dog. Bringing the knees down and then coming back into child's pose. Come back up into tabletop. We're going to come into lizard. So feel free to come into lizard from downward dog, or you can come into it from tabletop. So coming into it from tabletop, if you're using blocks, bring your blocks so that one is in the center of the mat and one is at the edge of the left edge of the mat. And then we're going to take our right foot and bring it to the outside of our right hand. So to get the openness in our hip, we're going to tuck our back toe. Now feel free to stay up with your knee up like this to perform your lizard. Otherwise, just draw your knee back a little bit. And you can stay here. You can adjust your blocks as you need, or your pillow or your bolster or whatever you're using. Or if your hands can come down comfortably to the mat, you can do that too. It all depends on how openness you are feeling. Come into a twist. So from here, I'm just going to move my blocks. So from here, we're going to take our weight and bring it into our left hands by bringing it about a foot off the mat. Right arm, so it's the same arm as your bent leg, comes up for a twist. You can take a half bind here if you'd like. If you have the flexibility in your hamstrings, you can take the bind here. That feels really uncomfortable in my knee, so I am not going to do that. And slowly release your hand back down. Bring your hands back into lizard. You can bring your hands to your blocks again if you'd like. You can tuck that back toe, lift it up if you want, or however you'd like to get your right leg back to your left. If you're coming at it from downward dog, I will show you how to do that on this side. So if you're using blocks, you can bring them to the opposite. So again, one is in the middle, one is toward the right. So from downward dog, lift up your left foot this time, and then bring it to the outside of your right hand. Adjust your blocks as you need. And again, you can leave your knee lifted, or you can bring it down, untucking your toes. And you may notice that how how you did on one side is different from how you feel on the other side. When you're ready, we'll take our twist. So we'll take our right hand this time, bring it about a foot off of your mat onto the floor, wherever you are. Left hand comes up. You can take the half bind here if you'd like. You can take the stretch if you can reach your foot. Slowly release back down to your lizard. If you're coming from downward dog, you would tuck your back toe and sweep your foot back up. So wherever you are, just to meet your, down in table. And then slowly come down to the mat. Bringing your hips down onto the mat, swing your legs out in front. Move everything out of my way a bit. And now nice and slow, keeping your legs out long. Lengthen through the spine, hands out long. Slowly roll down, one vertebrae at a time. Nice and controlled. Slow as you can. Remember to breathe. This is one of those ones where you kind of want to hold your breath. It's even harder to do while you're talking, but nice and slow. Come on down. When your shoulders touch the mat, you can bring your knees into your chest. Rock side to side. Maybe do some hip circles here. Bring your arms out like a T or a cactus, depending on how much space you have. In my bedroom, I have to do it like a cactus, so I don't have that much room. And then slowly bring your knees down to the right. Your gaze can stay up at the ceiling, or for an additional stretch, you can look over your left hand. Slowly release back up to center, to come down to the other side. Onto your left hip. And again, you can look up toward the ceiling, or you can look over your your right arm this time. And slowly come back up to center. Bring your feet down to the floor. And you can take whatever posture you need to finish out your practice as you start to work into your final Shavasana. Some people like to do happy baby or an inversion or shoulder stand, whatever you need to finish out your practice. Then begin to settle in. If you're taking Shavasana, to find a comfortable spot on your mat. Maybe your bed or in a chair. It's totally okay to move someplace else. And start to come to your breath. Maybe come back to your intention. Maybe you set a new one. And wherever you are, maybe bring your hands to your heart. Feel the beat and feel your chest rise and fall with your breath. Show yourself gratitude for your practice, for coming to your mat, and to your body. I bow my head in gratitude for letting me be a part of your journey. The light in me honors the light in you. Thank you so much for joining me. Till next time. Bye.